We're about to hit some very interesting times over the next few years as a result of this massive, humongous debt bubble that we've amassed over the last 53 years. Why do I say 53 years? Well, it's actually 54, but we're heading towards 54. I'm saying that because in 1971, August, Richard Nixon took us off the gold standard. And why is that so important? Well, America at that time and now as well was the leading country, so the big boss of the world when it comes to nations. And they chose on that day in August 1971 to separate money from the golden standard. And what did that do? It simply made it so that government could print endless amounts of paper, i.e., fiat, or what people usually would call money, but it's not money anymore, because money is something that is a hard asset, and money is not a hard asset anymore, which means that money is continuously going to depreciate. So if you understand what has happened, then you can understand now what the illusions of wealth is, because we are living at the massive extent of that bubble 50 years later. And it started back then, but it now has grown beyond proportions. And what usually happens with a bubble? When you prick it, it completely obliterates, and you're going to be affected by it in some way, shape, or form. If you're prepared for it, you're going to benefit from that popping because you know it's going to happen. So you have a predictive power, and those that predict the future are able to predict their own wealth in the future. And is that a bad thing? If good people are doing that, that's a good thing. If bad people are predicting it, then they will receive even more power in the next round. Okay, so every single 200 years, 300 years or so, there's a wealth transfer, and you don't want to be on the opposite side of that wealth transfer where you become poor and everyone else becomes rich at a time when hard assets is the only thing that matters. If you are in a position where you don't own anything that is valuable, then this video is for you. And I want to help you to understand the illusions of wealth that's happening in the world and what you need to do in order for you to be on solid ground during those difficult times that are coming ahead. This is going to help you to also determine what's a real business and what are fake internet gurus basically hyping you up to buy things that you probably shouldn't buy in order for you to, well, put you in debt long term in a situation that you don't want to be in. So let's understand what the real biggest asset in your life is that will make sure that you are never in debt massively long term. And what I want to talk to you about is the skills that you earn in life. If you have a lot of skills, you are putting yourself in the best possible situation long term. And the reason why you do that is because you are exchanging those skills for whatever becomes money at that time. So right now, we're using the US dollar very often in order for us to exchange services, which is fine. But there will come a time where we no longer are using the US dollar and we'll maybe perhaps use Bitcoin, or we'll use a different crypto, or we'll use gold and silver. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's going to be a medium of exchange that we're going to have in the future. And just understand that it won't be the dollar. Very unlikely that it's going to become the dollar. Unless Trump does some heroic things, type Javier Milei type stuff. Okay, if you don't know who that is, it's a president in Argentina who's actually created a government surplus, which is insane. Like, it just doesn't happen anywhere, and he did it. And so if Trump can learn from Javier Milei, then we're actually getting somewhere when it comes to politics. But unlikely that it's going to happen. Who knows? So if we understand the aspect of skills and that there is some form of value in the future, no matter what, if you've got skills, people will pay you in order for you to solve a problem for them in the future. So the most important thing is not to get a ton of money in advance of this collapse that I'm discussing. It's for you to make sure that you become valuable. You develop utility so that people will always want to come to you to solve their problems. That's very simple. Okay, so if you know how to navigate money and cash flow, you're always going to be able to get assets and valuable things drawn in your direction because you create a surplus, no matter where you are. Fantastic. If you are able to survive during a financial collapse, or you've learned the skills that are needed in order for you to survive, you'll probably do well during the financial collapse when everyone's freaking out and panicking, right? Make sure you got some guns and bullets to protect you and your family, and that you've been exercising very well. Like, you never know in what circumstance or situation you'll be put in, because there's going to be a lot of people freaking out. But it's just going to be, hopefully, very temporary, and it might not have the very in it. And in that case, you've got to be brave, you got to be strong, you've got to be a leader, and you've got to be able to understand how to lead people to go in the right direction. And then, of course, having fantastic relationships is the biggest part. So, if you've got wealth when it comes to skills, survival skills, money skills, people skills, you're always going to be okay. If you don't have these skills, it's time to learn them now, and you need to invest everything that you've got in order for you to learn those skills as fast as possible, and that's going to be way more important than any other investment that you make. Yes, you could invest in gold and silver, and I recommend that you do. The only issue is that how do you know that gold and silver is actually going to have value during that financial collapse? You don't really know. If you're going straight for the gold and silver route, and then everyone goes for Bitcoin and Ethereum, you lost, because no one wants your gold and silver because you can't use it for much. I mean, you can use it for some things, but not much. And then with your Bitcoin, what if you stack all Bitcoin and Ethereum, or even worse, meme coins? Then those things probably might have value, but it also might not. What if you stacked all of your wealth in Bitcoin and Ethereum, and crypto just stops functioning because the internet's not around? There is a possibility for that. Are you ready for that? Because that will be an illusion of wealth. That I've got a lot of Bitcoin, I'm going to be fine during the financial collapse. Will you? The people that are going to be fine during a financial collapse are those that have a strong community, that have strong skill sets, that have massive survival skills, that have a lot of wealth when it comes to their network, having a lot of wealth of whatever is wealth at that time. So maybe that community has a lot of gold and silver, fantastic, and has a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum, fantastic. But more importantly, they've got a lot of people with skills. Do you understand now? And they're able to collaborate efficiently together. And most importantly, they've got a lot of guns and the ability to use those guns. That's probably going to be the thing that's most valuable in the long run during that massive financial collapse that we're going to go through. Simply put, fortunately, you have a few years to prepare, because before that's going to happen, most likely there's going to be a tumble down of 50%, 80% of a stock market collapse, which is going to affect you and probably your job. But as long as you're skilled and you're willing to work for free in order to learn more skills, you're going to be fine. And then we're going to go into the hyperinflationary situation, because politicians are going to try and solve this problem by printing more money, which never works. And that's the time when everything's going to be a bit crazy. It's during the hyperinflationary time. So if you've been to Venezuela at the peak of the horrific, times there, you kind of have an understanding of how it's going to look like during the financial collapse. Some people are not going to be in places where there is a situation like that, and I hope that's you. And that will have to be a community that is very safely and strongly guarded, so that no one can come in there, because we have a strong, massive community that support each other and that have everything that we need of weapons, of food, of relationships, and we don't need the outside sources in order for us to figure out internet, electricity, and building buildings and anything that we might need during that time frame. Obviously, this might seem like an apocalyptic type of video. It's not. I'm just telling you worst case scenario. You don't want to have an illusion of wealth during that time frame. You want to make sure you have massive amounts of wealth. And from this video, you'll understand what is massive wealth during that time frame. The richest man is always going to be the one that has the best relationships. That's just the fact. And so if you have horrible relationships, then fix it. Make sure you have the best types of relationships, but not with the friends and family that you've got right now. Like, great, bring some of your family members because you love them. And if you have a few friends that you want to have with you through life because you trust them with all of your heart, might, mind, and strength, bring them along too. Make sure they're competent if you can. But as you increase in competence, you will notice that you will gain new friends, better friends, people that have a higher social status because of their network and because of their skills. And you want to be put in a situation like if bad times happen, you want to be in the situation where the people that you are spending time with are problem solvers and they're amazing at what they do. Because then you'll have everything that you'll stand in need of, and you'll actually benefit over the next 200 to 400 to 1,000 years of time that we'll have on this planet. Who knows how much more we've got? But man, it's been an amazing ride for the past thousands of years. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you guys about the illusion of wealth.